Hello everybody. In this screencast we're going to look at this in-class assessment which looks into managing activities and passing data between activities, starting activities for results and starting activities just and sending data to it without results. So basically the app is very simple. This is the main activity, and in the main activity you want to set the weight and gender. When you click on set weight, it goes to another activity and starts that activity for result. You enter the weight that you would like, you click on set, it sends back the result here, and you should display the weight. And gender is very straightforward, also very simple, very similar, where you click on set gender and takes you all the way to here, and then you click on pick the gender, you click on set, it takes you back to the activity here, the main activity. And then when you click on submit, it takes you to the profile. So it packages this weight and male, the weight and gender in the in a profile class, and then creates an instance, an object, and then sends that object to the profile activity and gets to display here. Here, basically, we ask people to input their names in these screens so that it is easier for us to validate and locate them while they are demonstrating their apps in the classroom, or while they're demonstrating their apps in general. So anyway, so to start, you are provided with a skeleton project. So basically, let's open that skeleton project. So I'll go here. I didn't update, so let's see what happens when I try to do that. So let's see, open. And it's in here in the repository, assessments. Here is assessment number 2, and I have a skeleton and a solution. So I'll open up the solution because that's the one that I would like to put the solution in. All right, here it is. So that's the skeleton, right? Here we are. Let's make it a little bit big here. And basically, the first part, I know that I will have to start an activity for results. So basically I'll go to the week 3 in the repository, and here is how you start an activity for result, right? So here is the code for that. This is how you create your launcher, and then this is how you use the launcher, right? So we'll do the same thing here. So we'll wait a little bit. So now I am using eel. Okay, good. So that's good here. All right. Okay, so now let's try to build and see if this is going to build. Here's the project. Let's have a look. You are provided with here is the main activity. You're provided with all the activities. Let's have a look at the main activity. For example, this is the main activity. You're provided with the layout, second one, third one, and fourth. So this is the activity, the profile, gender, and weight. I will also use view binding. So let me check to see if the build Gradle. So here is the build Gradle. It has the build features. View binding is true. So now this means that I can use view binding. Okay, good. So now let's go and write the main activity. So in the main activity, I know that I will start 2 activities for result, the set weight and set gender. So let's build up the set weight, and set gender is very simple, very similar to it also. So let's say I go here, I'll copy this piece of code here, which is the launcher and start for result. So I'll go in the main activity and I paste it. Here is the launcher, import. All of this is really boilerplate. I am doing option enter in Mac, okay, and alt enter in PC. All right, so that's how you set up your launcher, and I'll call it, for example, start get weight, okay, for result, right? So I'm gonna get back some kind of a double, right? Okay, so that's this. Now, how do I use it? I use it when the user clicks on set weight, right? So basically when the user clicks on set weight, right? So where is that? So let's set up the binding. The layout is called activity main. So now the view binding should already created a class for me called activity main binding. Here's binding. And then initializing it is straightforward. Binding, you need to inflate it. Here it is. So binding dot inflate get layout inflator, and I'm using GitHub Copilot. It will speed up my coding process. And then I could do set content view to binding dot get root. Okay, so basically I don't need this line anymore, and you see that I'm not using the get set content view using the layout. I'm using the binding directly, and the binding is connected to the layout. All right, so now we are done with this binding. Now what I would like to do is to set the onClick listener for set weight. So binding dot button, and here is set weight, right? Dot set onClick listener dot set on, okay, dot set onClick listener, click listener, new onClick listener. So I have the onClick listener, and basically now here what I would like to do, let me disable GitHub Copilot because it's annoying a little bit here. So let's see, it's anyhow. Now I have to tell it where am I going. So basically here I'd like to tell it I create an intent, and basically let's see, let me disable this, go here and disable completes so that we could just discuss this. I create an intent, and it's a new intent. You put the context, which is the main activity dot this, and then the next parameter is where do you want to go. I want to go to set weight activity dot class. So that's where I would like to go. This is an explicit intent, and then I'm not going to do start activity. I'm going to do start. I'm going to use this launch that intent. So basically here I already have a start activity for result here, a register for activity result, and then I'm using that here, the launcher here, to launch that other activity. So basically I can run it and see, you see, I'll run it just to get an idea. Here it is. Nothing is going to happen, it's just going to open up the next screen. So here we are, and I click on set weight, and it opens the set weight activity. All right, good. So we're good so far. Right now, what I would like to do is maybe make this a little bit bigger so that we could see, you could see the whole screen. So basically that's the binding for set weight. Now I'd like to go to set weight and set up the weight. So basically if you look at set weight, it's just an edit text. You enter some number here and you click on set and it takes you back. So let's see set weight. So if you look at set weight, the layout for set weight, there's an edit text here, and it is interesting name here. Let me change it to the edit text weight. Here it is. All right, so I have an edit text called weight, and then there is a set button and a cancel button. Okay, good. So that's it. So here we are. So now let's set up our binding. I can set up binding. It's straightforward also. So you see, this is really boilerplate code. So I will enable completions. Here it is. So here we are. The binding is going to be called activity set weight binding. Activity set weight binding. Here's binding. Here we are. And then you initialize the binding. It's two lines. One is to initialize the binding. Here's the initializing the binding and inflating it. And then the other one is set content view with that binding, and here we are. Okay, and I don't need the second set content view. Here we are, and basically we have the binding set up, and then you do binding dot button cancel dot set onClick listener, new onClick listener, and then here I'm just going to finish because that closes the activity, and then similarly binding dot button set dot set onClick listener, new onClick listener. And here what I would like to do is first get the weight information. So I'll do I know I have to cast a string to double, so basically I'll first have to do a try catch exception, and the exception is the number format exception. Here we are. And then in here I'm going to check something. Basically I'm going to go in and change double weight equals double dot value of, I can do parse, or I'll do double dot value of, and then I'm going to put the binding dot edit text weight get text dot to string. So that's the weight. Now if anything goes wrong, I'll just show a toast saying that enter valid weight, right? So basically I have a double already. Now all what I need to do is create an intent equal new intent, and then basically just put an extra in it. And you see here, notice something, we are putting a double. So you see here, put extra, you are putting a double, right? So I'm going to put a double, or a double value, right? And so what you basically put extra, and basically I'm going to do a weight here, and here it's the name that I'm going to use. So basically you just need to create a global variable here, public static final string, and here is the weight key, right? And basically that becomes the key here. All right, cool. So now I did that. Then you do set result, and then result okay, and you pass it the intent, and then finish. So basically you can see it's straightforward, right? So basically you try to click, you enter the weight, you click submit, goes all the way. If everything goes well, we set up the intent, we pass the data inside it, set the result okay, and then we finish. If you go back to the main activity, you are going to receive the data here. So basically if everything goes well, you're going to receive the data with the result okay, and then you get your intent. That's the intent that you set here. See this intent that you created here? You're going to get it. Now I would like to retrieve the weight. So basically what I could do is double. So basically let me create a global variable, call it weight. Is double, here is weight, and I'm going to start it as null, right? And then basically here, if you set it, I'm going to set it. So weight equals, here it is, and that's basically what we're going to do is that data dot get double extra. So basically we're going to get the double extra from it. There are a lot of kinds of extras. You see, you could say data dot get string extra, data string, right? I'm not interested in a string. I'm interested in, I sent a double, get double extra, right? And that's what I'm doing here. I'm basically receiving the double extra. Here is the weight, and now what I can do is binding dot text view weight dot set text to string dot value of weight, and maybe add to it an lbs pounds. So here's that plus lbs. All right, so here is the weight, and we're good here with the weight. So basically we're done with this. I'm not going to do anything in the error case. Now if I run this, will it work? Let's see. Here we are, and we click on set weight. We go here, I click on cancel, it closes the screen. I click on set weight, here's 1 2 3. I click on set, and 1 2 3 appears here. Set weight 1 1 1 set, and the weight appears. So I'm able to go to the weight, set weight, get a weight, and then send it back to the main screen here. All right, so we're good with the weight. The gender is exactly the same. You know, the gender, we are expecting a string, and we call it gender, right? Here's the gender, and then basically it will do the exact same thing. So I'm going to copy this stuff from here, I'm going to paste it here, and get gender for result, and basically I'm going to remove that stuff from here, and basically it's exactly the same. Get gender. Now what's the difference is now we'll create a binding, but it's exactly the same code. I'm copying that. Here we are, but instead of button set weight, it's button set gender, right? And then here is the intent, main activity. This is the context, and then where you want to go, I want to go to set gender activity, and you just use the start get gender for result, which is the one we just created here, and dot launch, and the intent to tell it where to go, and it's going to go to the gender activity. Now if we look at the gender activity, it looks very similar. So we go to set gender activity. Here we are. I can set up my binding. The binding again is the name of the binding class is activity set gender binding. Okay, activity set gender binding, and here's binding, and then we do the same thing. Basically we first initialize the binding, and this is how it's done, and then basically we say set content view to binding.getRoot, and then we don't need this line. So we already set up our binding. Now we can run this to see. I think it should work, at least to show the screen. So now right now when I say set gender, it takes me here. So now what I need to do here is I need to figure out the set and the cancel. So binding.cancel button cancel dot set on click listener new on click listener, and this is just simply finishes. And then similarly binding dot button set dot set on click listener new on click listener, and here I could just say string gender equals female, because see, notice that it's by default one of the female is selected. So basically there is something that is selected, and you could check to see if binding dot this is a radio group gender dot get checked item ID is equal to r dot id dot male male, and radio button male. You see, I picked the names so that I could find them easily. Now, if that's the case, then the gender is going to be male. Gender equals male. Here we are. So we're good here with the gender, and now all we need to do is package it and send it back. So the same story, exactly what we did before. We create an intent equal new intent, and then basically we'll say intent dot put extra, and that's going to be say gender, okay, and we're going to put the gender that we received, and then basically we do set result to this and then finish. Okay, so now let's create the key, public static final string tab, and then that's going to be the gender key. That's basically what I would like to implement here, which is very similar to what we did here. We had weight key, and we'll call it gender, the gender key, and that's going to be gender. Let's just say this is going to be gender. All right, cool. So instead of this, I'm going to use gender key. Okay, cool. So we're good here. We are able to set the gender. It goes back all the way and it will land here. And basically all I'm going to do is I have a global variable called gender, and I'm going to say gender equals, and I'm going to get it from extra, but I'm going to get it as a string. Gender dot gender equals data dot get string extra, and the name is going to be get set gender activity dot key. Here it is. So that's the benefit of having a key, so they have consistent naming on both sides. And then we do binding dot text view gender dot set text to gender. So that we took care of the gender situation here. We run this again. So basically we're able now to set the weight. Here it is. And then when you click on set gender, you pick male, for example, you click on set, and you could see that you could set gender, click on female and click on set. Here it is. Set gender, cancel, and set weight, cancel also works. Cool. So now we have both of them, right? So now we can, let's write the reset. So binding dot reset button dot set on click listener new on click listener. That's the reset button. And technically the reset button does what? It says that the gender is equal to null, and then the weight is equal to null, and then you could do the text view for the weight and gender. We can set them to maybe NA or empty, so not set and not set. Okay, here we are. So basically we are able to do the reset button straightforward, right? Binding dot button submit dot set on click listener new on click listener. So that's on click listener for the submit. Now we just need to check to see if the weight is set. So we could say if weight is equal to null, then there is a problem. You tell them that toast. You could tell them that select the weight. All right, so that's this. And then similarly we'll do the same thing for the gender. Else if the gender is equal to null, gender is equal to null, and then select a gender. All right, and then finally if everything is fine, if neither of these cases happen, this means that the user has picked a gender and a weight, right? So basically now what we need to do is to package it. All right, so we right click, create a new class, a profile class. Right, here is a profile class, and don't ask again, cancel. So basically here it is. So I have a profile class, and in that profile class is going to hold string gender and a double weight. All right, here we are. And then basically I could do a constructor for each one of them. Here's a constructor that includes both. Create an empty constructor. There's an empty constructor. Here we are. And then a getter and setter. A getter and setter for all the values. And we're good to go. So I have the profile. And basically I'm going to populate that profile and then send it. So anyway, so now here I could do profile equals new profile. It needs the weight, the gender, comma weight. So I have the gender and weight. I have the profile. What I would like to do is I'd like to embed it in the intent. So where do I want to go? I want to go to the profile intent. I would like to go to I create an intent. This is the context, and then here is where do you want to go? I want to go to the profile activity, right? So basically here is where I would like to go. This is the intent, and then in the intent I'd like to put a profile key. So let's go into the profile activity and create public static final string. Here is a profile key called profile, and that's what I'm going to send here. And then it's not happy. So basically I have the key set up, but then the profile is a problem. The problem is that the profile needs to be serializable. So now if we go back to the profile here, it needs to implement serializable. Implement serializable, and now you see it's not complaining anymore. So you created an intent, you put inside the intent the profile element that you'd like to do, and you do start activity, and you pass it the intent, and that should take you to the profile activity. All right, so we can run this. So if you do this, you click on reset, click on submit, says enter a weight. So let's say we go here, we pick a weight, click on set. Now we click submit, it says select the gender. Here we are, we click on set. Now if we click submit, it takes to the profile. Okay, cool. So that's the profile. So now if we go to the profile activity, we are here. We need to do some binding. Okay, so that's this code you see is very repetitive. So let's do the binding. So basically the name of it is going to be activity profile binding. Here's activity profile binding. Here's binding. Here we are. And then we need two lines here. One of them is to initialize the binding. Here it is. And then the binding again. And then we do set content view binding dot set root. And then we don't need to set it from the layout direct. So we have the binding already set up. And in the profile we have to set up your NA, whatever the weight is and the gender is. Okay, cool. So we go here and the close button. So we need to get the profile element first. So how do we do that? We get it from the intent that initialized the profile activity. And in that intent, we embed it inside the profile, right? So basically as an extra. So we check to see if get intent is not equal to null, and get intent dot has extra, and the extra key is called the profile key, right? That's what we're looking at. Here's a profile key, and basically what we are going to do is I would like to disable the autocomplete so that we can discuss this a little bit here. So basically we will check to see if it has that extra. Now I would like the profile, to get the profile. The profile, I'll get it from the intent, get intent dot get. Now it's a serializable. See here, get serializable extra. All right, and then basically you just give it the name of the key, and the name of the key is profile key and semicolon. So basically it's not happy because you need to tell it what is the it's getting a serializable object. We just need to cast it to a profile, and now you have your profile. Now we just need to set up some texts. Binding dot text view the gender dot set text to profile dot get gender. So that's the gender taken care of, and then binding dot text view the weight dot set text profile. Okay, string dot value of profile dot get weight. So that's the weight, and then we add to it lbs the pounds. So now we're done with this. It should show the gender, right? Gender and the weight. And then similarly we do binding dot button close dot set on click listener new on click listener. We just finish, and that will close that activity. All right, so we run this. I think we have the whole app built now. So here it is. You click on submit, nothing happens. Reset, nothing happens. Now you click on set weight. I will do, let's say 150 pounds set, and then gender, let's say female, and then we click on submit. Takes us here, and you can see you are able to arrive to the profile, and it's displaying here. When you click on close, it closes it, takes you back here. You can reset, try to submit. It's not going to work because you have to enter both of them in order to submit. All right, so that is this evaluation. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.